Never in the history of the world have the merchants of obscenity had available to them the modern facilities for disseminating this filth. Disseminating this filth. The onslaught of the communist masters of deceit.
Pinko Commie Slutz. Pinko Commie Slutz. Pinko Commie Slutz. Pinko Commie Slutz.
Hello. Hello. I don't know what's happening.
I'm doing throat singing.
Oh, okay. Nice. Very soothing, or was it of a malicious intent? I can't tell.
When would throat singing ever be malicious?
I don't know.
There is that beautiful metal band that uses throat singing.
There's also Hun Her too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want to make an assumption that it's all nice and peaceful there.
Oh, you almost got it, dude.
Yeah.
You're almost like doing that. Not exactly, but you're almost there.
You gotta work on getting the tone, the upper tone.
Yeah, well, you gotta work on doing the two tones at once.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Thing.
The upper tone.
Or the lower tone. Either tone, really. You need both. Yeah, this whole time there should also be a happening at the same time. No, that's how threat singing sounds. Anyone see that Jimmy Dore tweet?
No, what'd he say?
He talked to a boogaloo person who liked gay people in his mind.
Oh, wait. Was that what people... I did see people where he was arguing about some left-right unity.
I mean, he just talked to any boogaloo person and repeated what they said uncritically, which, like, yeah, you can do. They all say the same thing, and I'm not. No one who is smart should be surprised by it. But I do like that there's now this like lib shithead on Twitter right now. By the way, guys, I'm back on Twitter. Yay. But anyway, there's now this like,
turning over a new leaf. He's been let out of prison by Biden.
I created a new account to evade my ban against the terms of services of Twitter. Yeah, so there's this shithead who is now boasting that he like invented hating Jimmy Dore, which is like kind of the funniest fucking... I don't think I've ever heard Jimmy Dore actually utter a complete sentence, and I fucking hate him. I remember just like seeing him on YouTube, like someone showed a clip of his, and I'm like, oh, what is that? I hate it. Yeah, I mean, everyone hates him. And it's like kind of how I imagine like the Arnold Palmer came to be called the Arnold Palmer. Because, you know, prior to then, everyone poured lemonade and iced tea together because that's obviously a good combination. And then one day Arnold Palmer's like, oh yeah, I invented that. And he was Arnold Palmer, so like we just let him have this one. That's always been my theory.
Well, and I just want to clarify for anybody out there, an Arnold Palmer is a lemonade and an unsweetened iced tea.
The lemonade has sugar, so it's...
Exactly. What you get in Baltimore would be lemonade with sweet tea, and that's called a half and half.
Oh, that's the difference?
Yeah, I don't know that that's... Because, I mean,
no, that's a highly Baltimore-specific thing. Like, it's a classic... it's a classic round-the-way spot thing that you get in Baltimore is some chicken in a chicken box and a half and half.
But, I mean, I feel
but
like...
if you work in a restaurant in Baltimore, that's the difference.
You know, it's all one substance, and so, like, all the high fructose corn syrup and or dissolved sugar is... I mean, yeah, sure, you have more of it, but I don't know. whatever. Mm-hmm. What if I was to put lemon juice in a sweet tea?
I feel like people...
Would that not be an Arnold Palmer?
Well, I mean, it depends. I feel like people do squeeze lemon into sweet tea, and that does not make it a different drink. It would have to be...
Well, like that and some water. Would it? I mean, essentially, you're combining tea.
This is a real, we weren't planning on this. This is a hot dog, a sandwich situation, if you ask me.
But you're combining lemon juice, tea, and sugar. And really, the difference between a half and half and an Arnold Palmer is the proportions. So if you went the other way, took a sweet tea, got the sugar from that, but didn't add sugar with the lemonade, would it not just be an Arnold Palmer?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, all right. I invented a thing. It's called a Marlowe.
You already have a number of things named after you. There's a pizza that we've named after you, the Marlowe.
Yeah, I mean...
What's on the Marlowe pizza?
It's a chocolate Robin provolone, but in pizza form instead of sandwich, as they normally do.
We're going to start our own pizza franchise with Marlowe's signature dish.
Yeah.
So we become capitalists.
Yeah, and have a Marlowe with that. It tastes exactly like an Arnold Palmer. Some might say it has the same ingredients, but it's different.
Yeah, it's like...
It's a transposition drink, really, to use Chester.
Okay.
I've transposed into an Arnold Palmer. But
I say you've maybe deconstructed and reconstructed it.
Yeah,
which is...
No, I'm like Andy Warhol of beverages.
Yeah. You got a whole bunch of people doing drugs, making bullshit.
No, you know what? I'm like Burroughs. I'm doing the cut-up method.
Yeah, the cut-up method.
Is that what you called it, Steven?
There you go.
It's where he would take other texts or his own texts and then cut them up and reconfigure them on the paper, and then whatever came out ended up being his final manuscript.
Yeah, shit was super lame back when they only had speed but didn't have, like, LSD. They did the dumbest things.
I just like any story like that because it strikes me as someone going, I'm going to let magic do my work for me.
He basically invented the poetry magnets.
Yeah. Not that I'm against nonsensical approaches to creativity. Lord
he had a whole method.
I'm not.
He had a whole method to it. Like, there was a mathematical approach to him randomly cutting up pieces of paper and stitching them together again.
Yeah. Well, I'm like that, but with an Arnold Palmer.
Man, I want to reread Naked Lunch. I was just watching a very Naked Lunch movie.
What was
Brick?
it?
Brick is very Naked Lunch.
The high school murder mystery?
Naked Lunch is very noir. The book follows a private eye noir guy who goes and finds the rube to get to the next fix, and he's all paranoid and drugged out. And that's pretty much the Brick, but just set in a high school.
Well, to quote Justin Timberlake, just Brick. It's cleaner. It's not the Brick. Yeah, good movie.
The Brick.
Ryan
Don't tell us what's it called. It's the Brick Show. How'd you like the Brick Show, huh?
I don't know what the Brick Show
I just feel like that's an older person thing to do, which is to add an article and call a movie a show.
Okay. Yeah, like introducing every band as Jimmy and the Blanks.
You know, I was watching the Kill Bill show and the Kill Bill 2 show. And you know what? I like that one.
Is that one of the better sequels, better than the original?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like Kill Bill 1 and 2 are a...
they're definitely meant to be a single piece.
They're meant to be one crazy dumb piece, which I
also,
love. It's one of my...
Part 1 is notably less plotty and more violent than Part 2.
Yes.
To Stephen's credit.
I prefer Part 2 because I enjoy the more plot heavy elements. Also, I am a real sucker for, like, everything that fucking Tarantino was homaging in those fucking movies was real hit for me. Like Pai Mei, I was very into kung fu movies as a kid. So
I just listened to an interview where the Jizza explained all that.
Oh, I love that soundtrack too. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, I literally just listened to an interview with the Jizza where he explained the Pai Mei thing and like all the other shit from Kill Bill.
Yeah. But anyway, you said you watched Brick and it was...
Love that movie.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, Rian Johnson is a great director, and if you didn't like TLJ, you're probably a sexist.
It was better than Looper.
Yes, a lot better than it. Yeah, no, I mean, Looper is a fun movie. It's like nice and goofy, but yeah, it's not the best movie in the world. Brick's actually a great movie. And you watch that, you watch Knives Out, and it's like, oh, he is good at a certain thing. He's good at like one genre of any kind of murder mystery, doesn't matter the decade that he's aping off of, so long as he's aping off of a decade, even if it's set in the modern day. He's good at that.
Gonna go get to the pin.
Yeah, the pin, who always kind of reminded me of how Brian Ridner saw himself
100%.
This is someone me and Steve knew in college.
But Phil also knows. So.
Yeah, that like a good quarter of our audience are familiar with. So, you know, it's topical.
He's a kingpin. That's how he gets his name.
Bunny, have you seen Brick?
A long time ago. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah. No, it's very theater kidsy.
Yeah.
I feel like you would like it. I mean, there's a whole theater kids subplot in it.
Yeah, I feel like I remember that, but I definitely have not thought about that movie recently.
I think you would like a rewatch because it is like very theatrical. It's corny, but it takes itself seriously, but it's a funny premise.
Yeah.
I would say, but it takes it 100% seriously and it works.
Yeah.
Because it is modern day Southern California high school kids in a film noir plot where they all kind of speak in 1940s LA film noir lingo. And like, yeah, it's incredibly stupid, but they pull it off by like actually saying, yeah, we're going to give a shit and really try and do this.
Nice. Well,
anyway.
Rian Johnson, that director, he's from Maryland.
Yeah, cool. Him and John Waters and Noah and else.
Oh, yeah. Nobody.
Nobody else.
We're in a new era, everyone. I mean, I've had brunch.
Dems stole the election. We all
have to
have brunch now.
Yeah, we're all at brunch.
Basker Sin-Cara assures me is fine.
Yeah, everyone's at brunch. Well, I guess now's a good time to talk about it. The top meme was, of course, how Bernie just minding his business, really.
No, he was doing a sexism.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm leading into. Except many feel as though he was narcissistically centering himself and not performing emotional labor at the first inauguration of a woman of color vice president. And the mastermind diabolical machinations of, bizarro universe misogynist Bernie Sanders never cease to amaze me. Like, it's what was the one tweet? I believe she said it was an ice cold feminist take.
Yeah, that one.
The one.
Yeah,
well, I give a shit because this kind of bullshit muddles up any real conversation around things like emotional labor and blah blah blah.
Valid conversations to be had.
Exactly. And these women who are revealing themselves to think emotional labor is the political elite dressing up in couture to, you know what I mean? That's what she's equating it to. But I mean, it would have been funny if Bernie would have zhizhed up randomly, suddenly.
I actually want him in a pimp coat, just a purple long jacket. Just go full on appropriation of something.
It's a long purple
with a
velvet
cane,
coat.
just like the pin.
Yes, I agree. But it's really irritating.
Can we discuss why everyone thinks no matter what he does, it's somehow a degradation of minorities?
It is kind of coming up on a year. Remember last year, guys? Yeah, well, I mean, there are people, a segment of people who are very keen on the belief that Bernie Sanders and his army of Bernie bros are all racist misogynists deep down.
Okay, but why do they think that?
Who are...
Because this is going to keep coming up every time.
Well, yeah, it's going to come up every time. I mean, the people I see maintaining it are definitely a lot of the people who were Warren supporters last year. And of course, it was about a year ago when she decided to take this pivot and declare that Bernie Sanders, in this private conversation, said a woman couldn't be president, I believe, is what she said. And then when he said, that's not what I said, it was like, it'd be whatever. She obviously was trying to spoil Bernie, which sucks. But this is like the one remnant that so many people have held on to, this idea. And of course, at that time as well, there were people who were saying that Bernie reminded them of their, abusive father, abusive partner. One of the tweets this week that was calling him grumpy, I was just like, what was he doing that was grumpy? Like, yeah. So it's just fucking it's a vendetta these people have, and they're gonna like or I don't know.
Whatever.
They don't like it's also like just a weird brain worm. I mean, because I see people say it with this like sincerity where it's not like, oh, I just don't like them. They like project this maliciousness onto Bernie
I think
Sanders.
They would still say the exact same thing if he was a woman of color. And they have said the same thing.
Yeah, they said the same thing about Omar and ASC.
It has nothing to do with Bernie. And it has nothing to do with his ethnicity.
Oh, yeah. All of the specific things that happen to be in practice kind of anti-Semitic. They're just like personal digs in service of putting a shitty vibe on this person because they don't like what he represents politically. Like it's, a lot of people are so comfortable with that idea that like leftism is real, like a secret code for some kind of inverse white supremacy, I guess. And it's bizarre to me because I don't think it's that difficult to find, people of color who are socialists who are pretty vocal about it to, know they exist at least. But it's a convenient narrative for people who, like the people who want to live on TV where they want, the people who are posting like Leslie Knope knew, of course, referencing Amy Poehler's character from Parks and Recreation who had a like cutesy wootsy fixation with then Vice President Joe Biden. He guested on the show, things like that. Like there's a segment of the population, the brunchers or whatever. They're the people who watch a show and really laugh because the show is having another guest star on and they're like, oh, they're friends in real life. Like those are the people like that. You know what I mean? Like the kind of people who like that's what a lot of this is, and it's a lot of people that I consider friends that I like are dangerously on the knife's edge with some of this stuff. And I just, I
guess the why. Okay, so then what are they defending? What do they believe in?
Well, the current narrative is that like they're not being allowed to enjoy the Black and South Asian vice lady. This is the current version of it, which, of course, most of the people who are saying something critical of Kamala Harris are probably bringing up things about her career, like, what I mean, choices she makes, things like that. But they're like, I just want to be like, her outfit was cute. Like, stop. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, that's what it is. Like, there's some people who talk about politics because they're like trying to think of ways that it could be better and different and are like, these people should be doing these things for us. And there's other people who act like it's celebrity junior or like smart people celebs, right? And I feel like that's a big misconception that these people are smart. Okay,
that's interesting.
But it is definitely.
What about celebrity makes it so that these people are more palatable or less open to criticism or just kind of ideals in their mind of politicians? I know Marlo goes on about how they need like bureaucrats or managers to manage the empire and they think the smartest people will manage it the best. And that's sort of what I'm picking up, but I think it's something else too. Like celebrities aren't good at managing shit. They get other people to manage for them, but for some reason they believe celebrities should be better at doing this than a grumpy old socialist.
I think during the course of our lifetimes, there's definitely been media's become one big blobby thing, right? In the past, when there's less media, less things you're paying attention to, there were these like finely demarcated lines of this is about serious stuff and this is about the movies and this is about whatever, right? And now everything's kind of one big mishmash with social media. And I think a lot of neoliberals, what is kind of definitive about them is that they want to have this cutesy celeb-like appeal. Like, think about Bill Clinton, right?
First black president.
Bill Clinton. Yeah, Bill Clinton, he did a number of things in his run for president. He went on MTV, which was a big deal. They asked a question, boxers or briefs. That was a huge fucking deal. Everyone was like, this guy's cool as shit. He went on Arsenio Hall, of course, and he played the saxophone. These are things that like are the images that define someone for people. And I think Bill Clinton was one of these first like modern figures that was kind of good at that. And his triangulation politics, his like, oh, I'm going to take a little of this, and do something fucking corrupt in the middle is what people mean by fucking unity. They don't just mean unity reaching across the aisle. They mean this like cutesy feeling of everyone's getting served. Well, I feel like
Reagan
way.
Also was known throughout his presidency, and you watch media now from the time where he was.
Well, obviously
he was a movie star president, and that was like.
And he was in a really well-known series of ads that were very endearing and familiar to people. So I'm not saying that this is not me. You're right.
But that is
I
part of
wanted to
that is
criticize
part of.
the liberal
I'm trying to
Democrats,
make a thing about neoliberalism that you mentioned. Like they look for celebrities. And
these liberals, they're also in love with Ronald Reagan. Actually, they're all in love with Nancy Reagan. She's the diabolical mastermind.
Well, and if anyone represented a political force that was unifying a country, it was Ronald Reagan. He was the unity candidate. He won 49 fucking states. Like he was the last person that.
Yeah, you can't discount the factor of his celebrity contributing to that. As one of my longstanding points is most Americans are kind of alienated from politics. So they vote for whoever they think the cool person is.
My hypothesis gets into a book that I've been reading a lot lately in my writing about Good Charlotte, Society of the Spectacle. Dubois?
Has he knows how the French pronounce
long diatribe about celebrity and how celebrity, is engaging constantly in the world of the spectacle, which is divorced from materialism and divorced from, a set reality. And they have to create this spectacle that's outside of themselves that they engage with each other on between tabloids or between beefs or between ads. His kind of overarching thing is that, politics becomes this spectacular force, this spectacle that people engage in this like higher level that these underlings can't process because they don't run the media. They don't run these mega corporations that are taking sides that then project images out. And I think that's what neoliberals have been trained to look for, is someone who can engage the spectacle, who can use the spectacle to their advantage, use images, use PR stunts, use pandering in the worst way possible, use their identity, which is also wrapped up in whatever the media tells you you're supposed to think about it. And I think it's a limited analysis, but I do see this as being a way that people are engaging with something like a Bernie meme or with Kamala Harris Vogue cover, and that you take sides like a football team.
Well, and I mean, then there's also just fucking having a woman vice president is going to bring up all these questions that we, like, frankly, there's no answer to because we've never had a woman be president or vice president. So we don't know what the appropriate line is from treating her like a serious politician and also putting her in a pretty dress and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, with the Vogue cover, there was obviously an attempt to make make her look down to earth and like, you know, it's just horny. The low top Converse, all that. I can just, I'm gonna have a miserable 4 years, guys.
I'm already having a miserable time. I got into a fight with, well, not a fight. One of my old customers living in Carroll Gardens, not far from where you work, Bunny. Down the street from you. Yes, Bunny works in Carroll Gardens for anybody looking to stalk her.
Yeah, come and get it.
And she comes out. She's got like 5 teeth. She looks 115 years old. She comes out and she's like, "Did you watch the inauguration?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And she's like, "What do you think of the new president?" I'm like, "I don't like him." And she's like, "Well, he's better than the old one. You better learn to. All this coronavirus is going to get better." I'm like, "People are dying."
He literally said he's not going to do anything.
Like, my life has just gotten steadily worse no matter who's president. So, like, you can't tell me things are going to get better. I'm not going to believe you. And so, you know, I sat there. She talked her head off, and that's how my job's been going.
You argued with an old lady who she's probably like, hasn't seen her grandkids since the pandemic started.
She's like,
just wants a handsome young man to talk to Stephen, and not judge her joy.
You're too young to have such a dark outlook on the world.
Oh, yeah.
I've been here. I've seen more than you have.
Oh, my God. She invented the Arnold Palmer.
And then
the twist is
and then didn't get credited because she's a woman.
It was Arnold Palmer the whole time, always has been. I've definitely felt the need to sort of be like, oh, to people in my family.
Functioning in public.
I don't make it a big deal to every person, but it's definitely funny. It's definitely funny to me to see people pretend that they're serious, and then they're like, "Yay, girl boss." Guys, it's been a tremendous restraint week for me as I went to a prep school, as you all know, and got to see a lot of girls I went to high school with post, photos of their white daughters and just give teary-eyed speeches about how happy they are their daughters get to grow up in a world where there's a lady vice president. And I just, God damn it. I feel like I'm in one of those movies where there's a high school reunion at Bruin and I'm the bad guy. That's how it makes me feel. I don't want to yuck anybody's yum ever. So to speak. But what irritates me is that these people don't really give a shit in reality. They don't give a shit about what actually criticized Kamala Harris about. They just want to feel good that they did it.
And they don't want you to ruin their good feelings. And how about Joe Biden telling that person to
I heard that
himself because of
it was a journalist, right?
Vaccine. Because Joe Biden literally said 100 million vaccines in 100 days. It was a thing that was bandied around that he said. And someone's so are you going to do that?
Taking notes on
our plan starts with mounting an aggressive, safe, and effective vaccination campaign to meet our goal of administering 100 million shots in our first 100 days in office. We're on day 1. And I'm committed to getting it done. We're committed to getting it done. And as I explained last week, we'll move heaven and earth to get more people vaccinated for free and create more places for them to get vaccinated.
Mr. President, you set the goal at 100 million vaccines in the first 100 days. Is that high enough? Shouldn't you set the bar higher? That's basically where the U.S. is right now.
When I announced it, you all said it's not possible. Come on, give me a break, man. That's a good start. 100 million. Thank you.
Let's go. Come on, you guys, let's go.
They're not even going to, did I hear correctly? They're not even going to give the other part of this fucking mythical $2,000 until April.
At least March.
I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd. Yeah. They're so horny to means test and withhold.
I mean, $15 minimum wage isn't going into effect until 2026 if Biden gets his way. It's really bad. that $15 was
it would have been appropriate 10 years ago. But it still brings out all the dummies. It still brings out all the dummies. I am...
Who don't understand that, like, you can't just say the same number for 10 years because that's actually the point.
Well, or the people who can't afford that. They should... You know, I can't believe how many people are still... the people who think that minimum wage is for high school kids... Like these imaginary high school kids who are working, I guess, all the shifts at a McDonald's. They're just taking turns with their free periods at school. It's very funny to me.
Imagine all the people that are going to get fired after minimum wage.
Burgers are going to be $1 billion.
They're gonna
be so expensive.
Jobs. Every single job that has to raise the minimum wage is gonna have to cut their labor across the board. It's simple math. Simple math.
Simple math, like these entities are beasts that we don't quite fully understand, but we know they require a certain degree of human suffering to maintain things. That's what it feels like, because at a certain point, a lot of these, even if you took economic arguments seriously, a lot of these arguments are bullshit, and it's just a weird addiction to kind of what, you know, I like to call a punitive horniness, where they just gotta feel like someone's fucking suffering, man. If that's not guaranteed, what is America, man?
There's been 30 executive orders signed since Wednesday. We're recording this on Saturday after the nomination or inauguration. 30 executive orders. I only know like 2 of them. And I tried to look it up, but it seems like most of them are just rollbacks of Trump.
Yeah, they're almost
and
all
conservatives are mad at him, but like, who the fuck cares? Is there anything worth talking about of the executive orders? I can't.
I can't.
No, like there hasn't been anything that happened. Ever. Like nothing meaningful.
Yeah, some turfs got mad about one, but that doesn't matter because they don't really matter.
All people are fucking talking about is the continued efforts to impeach Donald Trump, and the conservatives now, of course, are like, I can't believe they're picking on him when he is not even president no more. Oh my God, that's so rude.
Is that your Grassley impression?
The bumpkins.
That's not my bumpkin. That's my like busybody. She's got quite a nice life. Thank you very much.
I am predicting.
She could have been on one of them Bravo shows.
I am predicting that they're gonna fucking really make a run at Maduro, just straight up. Run a team at his castle.
They're going to enjoy a lot of people feeling like they can set it and forget it. They don't have to pay attention to the minutia of what the administration's doing because they're safe. They got evil, bad orange guy out, so they're safe and whatever. And yeah, it definitely opens the door up to things like that.
Marco Rubio is just dick hard in his hand for a ground invasion. Who said that that other fucker, Guaido?
Yeah, they're recognizing Guaido.
So did Twitter.
Which isn't surprising. I will say, it's not that I'm surprised, but, you know, just that they accepted the whole Jerusalem thing so easily, where it's like, that was actually, if you want to be like a Sorkin, you know, institution fucker, it like was a U.S. policy that had been in place and considered kind of key to U.S. foreign policy since Israel existed. And Trump just reversed it. And it was actually, from the Sorkin brand perspective, kind of an insane thing for Trump to do.
I mean,
and that they just don't give a shit.
Almost a lobbyist for Israel. This is what Israel wanted.
Yeah. It's not.
Biden wouldn't do it, but he wouldn't reverse it.
Yeah, but Biden would never do it himself. It's like, I'm not surprised by it, but it's kind of ridiculous at the same time if you give it any thought. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like the Guaido thing, like it actually was a thing that Trump did that was consistent.
But maybe next
US
time
foreign
they
policy anyway.
Run more than just like a boatload of degenerates.
Yeah, no, they'll try harder next time. Certainly, nothing matters.
That's right. Nothing matters.
My chest has been just fucking awful this week. I'm so...
Oh, I have my...
Shit sucks.
My thing that I've been following or catching up on. There's a bunch of like counter tenors who I've just been following their like battle of who's the best singer who can sing like a whale. Counter tenor is somebody who
Steven, what's a counter tenor? I have no idea what that means.
And
so like Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
And they can access their whistle register, which is the same as Mariah Carey, and they sing an opera in that high register. There's one Latvian, Vitas, who you've probably seen the GIF of him with his tongue out or whatever from like the mid 2000s. But then there's the new one, Dimash, who's from Kazakhstan.
These like modern day people?
Well, it's like...
So it's like a genre that's a thing?
Opera male sopranos are definitely an upcoming thing in the former Eastern Bloc. And it just kind of fascinates me because they are all going to Asia. That's the market. It seems like a lot of the Russian markets are all in China, Japan, South Korea. And so they just...
Yeah, who do you think wants to see a bunch of white guys singing real high?
Yeah, it does seem like a thing that with no...
Oh, and they're so into it.
Koreans
and the latest one I saw was them... they basically battle over the Fifth Element song. Yeah,
the impossible Fifth Element
two twinks who are just singing like the alien lady. If anybody wants to check them out, I'd love to hear your thoughts on who's better. I'm personally loyal to Vitas. I discovered that guy in college when I was like 18. I was like, this is the wackiest guy who is dressed as an alien and singing like a narwhal. And he's awesome. He came out with a cover of Skyfall, too. I didn't realize that. And yeah, Dimash is apparently the greatest singer in the world, according to some people. And I just watch all these like MILFs imagine that they're their child or something. I don't know. Oh my God, he's so good at opera. I'm like, oh, please. Vitas is way better.
I love getting a new interest and then immediately becoming antagonistic to people who disagree with me.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
You take sides. So you got to take sides immediately. It's like Slash and Buckethead.
Oh,
Team Buckethead all the way.
I rented a new movie this week. You know how they could be in theaters, but also you can rent them for like $15 at your house. So I did. I saw Promising Young Woman.
Oh, shit. I keep saying the trailers.
I definitely, I have a lot to say about it, and I don't want to just...
It seems like one could say a lot about the movie.
I definitely had experience this week where I saw someone have a totally different reaction to that movie than me, having just watched it. I was like, you fucking idiot. So, but yes, if it's possible, I mean, it costs, like
what
I said,
did you disagree
$15
with?
to rent it. So
this
I don't
requires
want to
us
spoil
to
it.
learn your opinion.
I don't want to. Yeah, so I don't want to spoil it, but I guess the premise, if you've seen the previews, is sort of giving you like lady revenge vibes, right?
Yeah.
This character played by Carey Mulligan, who, remember her?
Oh, you know what? It reminds me of the movie from that fucking show Barry. The TV show that guy was trying to pitch to her, essentially. But they actually made it.
That's what the preview gives you the impression of. The movie itself is very different.
Okay.
So I'd say there's definitely an intentional kind of subverting of a certain abuse, revenge, rape, revenge genre in this movie. The performances are really good, etc. It's really excellent for me up until a point, and the entire denouement was sort of a letdown for me. I felt it fell prey to this assumption that I see over and over again. And it was almost a little bit in that episode of Barry when they pitched this really lowbrow thing to her. There's this assumption that we want realism and we don't want the revenge fantasy. We want to see you beat the shit out of the woman. We want to see her not win the fight. Like there's this thing that I see come up over and over again where something will be advertised like it's a lady revenge thing, but then I watch the movie and she's getting her ass kicked or she's like whatever at some point or whatever. And frankly, that's not deep to me. That's like this kind of fake deep shit that irritates the fuck out of me. But me specifically as somebody who experienced domestic violence, I lived it. I don't need to see a realistic portrayal over and over and over and over again in every genre. Like it's not like, oh, we only see this kind of thing in a certain kind of movie. Sobbing, creaky, crying woman or women being like violently disposed of is pretty frequent image. I don't find it subversive or it's not deep to me. And then in this particular movie, there is this sort of all of a sudden there's this preternatural reliance on the justice system to come through in a weird way that I really just like.
Yeah, a lot of movies that deal with that tend to mythologize the way in which police and the authorities deal with it. And I find that as somebody who also experienced it and experienced the failure or the complications of police dealing with domestic violence, it really ticks me the fuck off.
Yeah, so I actually love the movie Enough, the Jennifer Lopez movie Enough. It's a very not highbrow take on domestic violence, even down to how the fights are choreographed in it. It's choreographed like it's an action movie right from the get-go. So the end of that movie where Jennifer Lopez is trained up in Krav Maga and beats her abusive ex to death is excellent. That's what I want to see in a fucking fictional movie, okay? I don't need to see another bitch get her teeth kicked in. It's just there was a Gabrielle Union movie a couple years ago too, where it seemed pitched like it was this mom and these guys were trying to rob her house and she was like, not today, motherfuckers, right? And so you thought, oh, this is going to be this kind of kick-ass movie. I watched the movie and they beat the shit out of her for most of it. Her getting revenge and getting safe is a very little part of that movie. And I was like, who thinks I need realism in my violence against women? I don't understand. Of course, there's fuckboys who see an unrealistic fight to them in a movie where a woman's kicking ass and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, that wouldn't really happen. Yeah, who cares? Also, Star Wars wouldn't really happen.
I like how these people that are watching are just in your mind fuckboys. This is all of us can agree that the fuckboys watching this movie would have this take about it.
Well, I don't know. It irritates me incredibly when somebody because I did, after I watched this movie, Promising Young Woman, I did read an interview with the director. And she basically says straight up that she chose the ending because they wanted it to be more realistic. And boo. I don't like it.
So is this what you got in the fight about?
Well, no, I just got upset because some people were very much this movie was really deep. And it's irritating to me. And it was almost like some people were, because the preview makes it look like she is luring predatory young men alone and then doing something to them, right? Yeah. But you watch the movie, all she does is scare them by suddenly turning sober when they're trying to essentially coerce or force her into drunk sex, right? So she doesn't beat them up. She doesn't you know what I mean? She does. Yeah, she just is pretends to be really fucked up, and then they're like, come on, and she's like, no, take me home, blah. And they're like, yeah, come on, and then she'll just go. Then she'll just look him in the eye and be like, hey, buddy, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what the fuck? You're sober? So
it's basically John Quinon's What Would You Do?
I've not seen that movie.
But no, it's a recurring segment on, I think ABC's 2020 or some shit.
Oh, Okay, yes. I do know what you speak of now. Yeah, it's kind of like that, but you find out she's doing this because she had a friend who was raped. What fucking sucks, okay, guys, look, I'm just going to go ahead and go into it. What sucks for me specifically is that the exact plot line of her motivation for her revenge in doing this in the movie is something I also wrote into a script. But my script's about a woman who makes an accidental deal with a devil and becomes a demon, and then she eats rapists.
No.
It's better. But the motivation is the same, which is her college roommate best friend is raped by some frat guys, and then she kills herself, right?
Okay.
So, except it's med school for some reason. Instead of, it's not undergrad, it's med school, where they're having these wild parties where they rape her friend and, whatever. Yeah, so she just spends her time essentially pretending to be drunk places, waiting for someone to be a predator to her, and then freaking him out, basically.
Cool. I was just kind of assuming it'd be some fun little woke Saw, basically, was what I was thinking.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is
do they have a woke Saw? I thought that was woke Saw.
They should.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Well, and then you think she's going to get her ultimate vengeance on the actual guy who raped her dead friend. And she threatens almost a woke Saw thing where she's going to carve the dead friend's name into him with a scalpel. But then they got to get realistic.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but then that's when they decide the movie's got to get realistic. So she doesn't succeed. And in her death, she relies on the justice system to come through on a video she sent them. And so it's this. So lame. It fucking sucks. It's this
No, that movie looked like it had the potential to be kind of fun.
The performances are amazing. That's what sucks. Is the performances are amazing. It's very tense. It's very compelling. And honestly, until that end and the denouement, like I said, it had a potential to be a very beloved movie by me. There's a lot of things I liked about it. And then I just was fuck this. I didn't need to see her body being disposed of. Who is this for? And what is this realism? And the way people who liked it were speaking about it is well, I didn't want to do whatever. And what would happen in real life in that situation where she's tried to trap this guy in revenge and then he gets loose and beats her to death. And it's whatever, man. Give me the fucking fantasy, man. Give me the Ocean's 11, whatever, man. Also, if somebody only has one hand free and they are trying to smother you, pretend to be dead. They'll stop and then you get away. Anyway, and that's something I learned as an abuser. It's terrible.
Now I am imagining a woke Saw.
Yeah, no.
I'm imagining two pits with spikes in them. One with a woman who's of mixed race, and another one is a black man, and you have to choose which one the more woke to save.
Yeah, compression Olympics.
Yeah,
Saw.
Yeah, and then if you choose the wrong one, you fucking die.
Yeah, you have to do human trolley problems with different identity groups.
Oh no.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
I don't think there is. When I read the interview with this director, she was speaking as if there's there's just a ton of revenge stories out here where women are just blah blah blah, and I'm this is a very specific kind of genre within a genre.
I feel there's two that I've seen recently.
I think we could afford some more fantastical comeuppances being fiction, shown to us in some kind of fictional setting. I don't get it. I don't get this. That's a general thing for me. I don't get it when people are so horny for what they think of as realism, but what they mean is things that are a bummer.
Would Thelma and Louise sort of fall into that?
Well, there's Monster.
That was the other one. It was Monster and Thelma and Louise that were the two I could think of. I saw Monster recently, and that was so sad.
No, Monster is a true story and also quite
so sad. Oh my god, I could not.
I mean, Monster actually is.
I know, and she's the first woman that got electrocuted.
Story. It's also it's for anybody who like randomly does listen to this show because they are a fan of me, Bunny Femelis, the comedian. Yes, Monster is the subject of one of my longest bits, where I talk about how it's unfair for women because even when we get a serial killer movie, you watch that movie and you're on the serial killer side for much of the movie. You feel sorry for her. You know, it doesn't have quite the same effect of, Jeffrey Dahmer.
I was always on Ted Bundy's side.
Though he wouldn't have eaten me.
Everyone.
Everyone loves Ted Bundy in the Ted Bundy movie.
But it is a funny thing. There is a Ted Bundy movie I remember seeing, and they make him just very good at getting away, at talking his way out of things. So it's like the entire movie. Yeah, the entire movie, he's just like killing bitches and coming back to have sex with their bodies and getting away, talking his way, charming police. And one time he escaped from prison and then went immediately to try to victimize a woman, and she escaped.
Didn't he go immediately to what was it, like a sorority house and just rampaged?
He did do a sorority rampage. That is one of the things he did. He didn't kill all of those women, but he did.
My favorite part of that movie is at the very end when there's just children who are holding dead cats, and they have like a weird filter on, so it's the grass is like purple, and they're like, "I'm Ted Bundy."
Wait, are you talking about the one?
It's like a Lifetime, like from the 90s.
Okay,
it's the best one.
I was hoping that's the one you were talking about because it is the best one. Okay, there was like more than one Ted Bundy movie in the 90s. I have seen several of them, but did they do in the Lifetime movie, like, I feel like there was a part where he gets executed and then they sort of like show the guards abusing him, and it's like, basically, or there's like almost a throwaway moment where right before they're going to execute him, they're like talking about beating him up and shoving a bunch of stuff up his ass. And I was like, why? I mean, of course, that's realistic, I am sure. But am I supposed to feel sorry now for the Ted Bundy in this moment? I mean, it's a movie. I'm against the death penalty in general, but he did get away a couple times, so, you know. I say death penalty only gets to be evoked if you talked your way into escaping twice before. I think it's fair then. No, I don't think the state should kill anybody. But if we had to, if I was in charge,
if you were the Stalinist dictator of this,
if I was the Lady Stalin, then I plan to be.
Now there's another movie we can make. Lady Stalin.
This is how and then we could do a Photoshop like that with Biden Stalin, but it'll be me.
I feel like that's the kind of movie you'd start making and then like realize at a certain point you're kind of just making this weird female gulag guard fetish film.
What is the problem with that?
Yeah.
Like, just
and I feel like I'd find a whole new
scanty,
audience.
like leather Soviet uniform looking things, making men break rocks and shit.
Ooh, that seems cool. I would like
literally
to do that,
just described like a fetish film.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see myself accidentally or somebody's like, here, I'll give you money to make this. And I'm like, okay. And they know it's a fetish film, but I still think I'm making my Lady Stalin epic.
That could have been a Seinfeld plot or some shit.
If I was the Lady Stalin of the USA, I would say, okay, death penalty fetishist, you can have the death penalty, but only if the criminal in question has talked his way into a clever escape.
Okay. Can we combine this Lady Stalin idea with woke Saw?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, I smell a franchise.
Okay, yeah, I could maybe see that.
Okay, the escaping twice thing also comes into play.
So that's when the woke Saw happens, is when you've escaped twice and you were sent to death row. It's kind of a Hunger Games.
Woke Saw is a
reality
lady serial killer who basically the plot of that fucking movie that you hate. But then she like tortures her victims and chops their dicks off. Like that's woke Saw. I don't see why we have to confuse this by like just combining every fucking idea.
I thought woke Saw was a lady putting these white men into impossible puzzle situations.
Well, and also impossible puzzle situations where they have to like be like, okay, you have an Asian person who is going to college, or white person whose first language is in English, and you can only save one of them from this death contraption. Yeah, some shit like that.
Well, I think that.
And also the white guy is also.
But what if that person who's the lady serial killer was also dressed as Stalin? If she
no,
what if,
why would they be? No.
Now I feel like I look really good
with the mustache.
That would be its own thing.
Yeah, I do love a mustache. I do always, if I have occasion to wear a mustache.
Places, in each one, there's 5 places, and it's the 5-year plan.
There we go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Marlo doesn't like this riff.
I was going to go for a more...
So much. You've taken a beautiful, pure eye. Yeah, no, and now it's going through development hell, and all of a sudden...
Hey, that's showbiz, baby.
It's gonna be Dirty Dancing Havana Nights 3 or whatever.
I did spend almost all day watching the Comedy Store documentary series that's on Showtime.
I've been watching movies about manhunting, like Hunger Games. There's one that came out that was like really politically charged and really stupid with the guy from Always Sunny.
Okay.
And they just bring the people and dump them into a field.
Which guy from Always Sunny?
Dennis.
Oh, okay.
And they dump a whole bunch of people, and you find out that it's all simulation and that they're in like Siberia the whole time. And then they have the lady has to fight her way out. And you find out at the end, which I'm spoiling, they picked up the wrong lady with the same name.
Well, also you haven't named what this movie actually is, so it doesn't really matter if you're spoiling.
This episode is definitely the spoiler episode.
So if you ever plan to be watching that movie, that's how it ends.
Yeah, that movie
Glenn
with
Howard
Dennis
of AP Bio fame.
And this movie that I'm looking up right now.
No, don't give the time. No, it's better.
It's called The Hunt.
Oh,
it was the Hunt, because it had what's her face,
and she dies in the first like 10 minutes of the movie. The other movie that I watched was Ready or Not. I liked Ready or Not a lot more.
Oh, I did like Ready or Not. It's fun. That's a good movie to bring up in comparison to what we've been talking about.
Yes. With the woman sitting smoking a cigarette and the whole place burning. Also, the mystical spirit killing off the entire family.
Well, yes, it did one of my favorite things where there's a question of whether some supernatural element is real or not, right? They're not sure. It could, is it just their belief in it that's making them make these crazy decisions? Or is there there's a tension there? And I'm the kind of dork who always likes the choice of making it real. Why do a fucking movie if you don't make the dumber, more deviant from actual reality choice and make the supernatural element real? So they do all explode.
Imagine if Django Unchained just ended with Django getting sold back into slavery. I'm just saying, imagine if they
the realism, the realistic Django Unchained.
It's more realistic.
I would hate that. Yeah, this is the thing. I'm like, who told these wet blanket people that realism is what people want to a degree where they definitely want the saddest truth of things in the most gruesome ways displayed to them. But yes, that would be fucking hilarious. This brings up a good point, which is I don't like, quote unquote, one of these kind of realistic endings to a horror movie, the aforementioned Ready or Not. I like a good guy to win in a scary movie still. Not that I go in needing that, but I find that the movies that I like there is something
about sex outside of marriage.
Something like that happens. Well, I can appreciate a real like crazy campiness and like etc. I know what I'm getting into, but my favorite scary movies, sort of, there is a triumph.
Triumph of the will.
Of some sort. Yeah, there's some kind of triumph, though, I guess many people disagreed with me. One of my favorite movies from last year was Midsommar. I feel like it ended triumphantly.
A character won that in a way that had been justified by the film.
Yes. Which is how I felt about it, but I there was a lot I liked about the film. Otherwise, I'm kind of into folk horror in general. But I have a friend who hated the movie. He thought it was so horrible that what Danny had done, and I was so like aghast that he had such a opposite but strong reaction to this same movie. We had a whole extended argument about it because he kept returning to this idea that she somehow should have not agreed and saved her boyfriend who was not great to her, and I don't know what escaped these people. I was like, do you think that was an option for real? Like, if you're trying to think about this realistically again, like she was gonna movie it's established. Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, oh, what, she was gonna say no, kill this guy, this other guy, and we're gonna escape the remote place in fucking Sweden we are. No. Yeah, you're there, that you're a part of this community now.
That movie famously, I remember.
But I
remember some tweet when it was in theaters still where someone's like, yeah, I just heard like a couple basically break up over this movie after it ended. Where it was just like the guy's like, well, that was fucked up. And the woman's like, oh, it's interesting you think
that was awesome.
Yeah. Well, no, that's funny because there were takes that were like, that guy didn't do anything. And I was like, what?
He sucked so much.
I was like, you liked him? That fascinated me.
So
that anybody
shitty.
could come away and like that character. Oh my God, he sucked so bad. He wasn't just a shitty boyfriend. Yeah. He was shitty to all of his friends. And it was this like symbiotic thing.
Hereditary was still better.
I definitely, well, Hereditary is more of a proper horror movie. If people went into Midsommar wanting it to be like super scary, it definitely isn't that kind of movie. For me, I loved the visuals were so good. It was very drinkable movie visually. There's like a few movies that I just like on that level. Sofia Coppola, who is totally not a favorite director of mine at all. I really liked her Marie Antoinette for that alone. The visuals of that movie are like really like rich and gorgeous in a way that I like watch that movie for that alone. But I liked Midsommar like on that level and another level. But definitely not as scary as Hereditary. But a little bit of vengeance. I don't know. I say let the ladies have our vengeances.
That's a good way to end. Let the ladies have their vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're pro lady vengeance podcast. And by lady, I mean ladies, femmes, people who want to be on this side. I don't care. People who've been bullied or marginalized. I want you to see a movie where you get to beat the shit out of the bad guys.
Woke saw.
Everyone deserves this.
Yeah.
See ya. Woke saw.
All right.
Your step, she's going to break your heart in two. It's true, it's not hard to realize Just look into her false-colored eyes. She builds you up just to bring you down. What a clown, 'cause everybody knows she's a femme fatale. The things she does to please, she's a femme fatale. She's just a little tease, she's a femme fatale. See the way she walks, hear the way she talks. You're written in her book, you're number 37, have a look. She's going to smile to make you frown. What a clown. Little boy, she's from the street. Before you start, you're already beat. She's going to play you for a fool. Yes, it's true, 'cause everybody knows she's a femme fatale. The things she does to please,